Reality responds to what you observe with faith, not to what you wish for with doubt. This simple truth holds a quiet power that few truly understand. Many look at what they desire as if the mere act of observing is enough to create it. But the universe doesn't follow eyes filled with fear or fragmented intentions. It moves in response to inner certainty, to the vibration that says, "This is already mine," even when nothing on the outside has changed yet. Today, you'll understand why observing without believing is like trying to ignite a flame with empty hands. Manifestation doesn't happen through images you project in your mind, but through the emotion you ignite in your heart. When your gaze is charged with faith, the invisible begins to organize itself into the visible. Reality doesn't bend to doubt disguised as desire. It responds to the quiet faith of someone who already feels in possession of what they want to live. This is the turning point, aligning what you see with what you believe. It's not enough to visualize. You must observe as someone who already has, feel as someone who already lives, and vibrate as someone who already is. Because true manifestation is born from the coherence between vision and vibration, and when that union happens within you, the universe has already begun to obey. Observation alone doesn't create if it's misaligned with belief. Observing by itself is not enough to create a new reality. The universe isn't an automatic mirror of what your eyes see. It reflects what your heart vibrates. This is where many people get lost. They look at what they desire, they visualize, they create images. But inside, they still carry fear, doubt, anxiety, or a quiet feeling of, "It's not mine yet." And the universe, which doesn't respond to words but to vibration, simply reflects that incoherence. It's like watching the rain while wishing for sun, but feeling deep down that it won't come. Your eyes are focused on the desire, but your vibration is anchored in absence. That misalignment is what blocks manifestation, because it's not the physical act of looking that activates the quantum field. It's the feeling that comes with the gaze. And if that feeling is scarcity, lack, frustration, or anxious expectation, then that's what gets projected back. Pure observation without emotional alignment doesn't create, it merely records. And the universe doesn't react to what's recorded. It responds to what's emitted. Imagine someone who looks at the image of abundance but feels scarcity, or envisions a fulfilled relationship but vibrates loneliness and distrust. Nothing can manifest from that space because the vibration doesn't support what the eyes are calling for. Creation requires coherence. It demands that what you observe aligns with what you feel to be possible, to be true, to already be real. When the heart doubts what the eyes try to affirm, the energy becomes scattered. The quantum field remains neutral before a divided mind. It waits for conviction, for a clear frequency, for an energetic command that can only be given when the observer and the belief are unified. That's why so many say they visualized for weeks, repeated mantras for months, but nothing changed. Deep down, they were still looking at what they wanted with eyes that didn't believe. The image was present, but the emotion was saying the opposite. The silent feeling still whispered, "I'm not sure it's possible. I don't know if it'll happen. This is too big for me." And the universe, in its flawless perfection, simply answered, "So be it." It's not enough to look at what you want. Your inner field must vibrate as if it's already your reality. It's felt faith, not declared, that opens the gateway between the invisible and the visible. The kind of faith that doesn't beg, but sustains, that doesn't plead, but radiates, that doesn't wait, but lives as though it already has. Observing with doubt reinforces absence. Observing with fear gives power to failure. Observing with anxiety tells the universe you still don't believe it will really come. But observing with quiet confidence, with gratitude in advance, with serenity, that changes everything. That sends out a signal the universe recognizes as a command. Observing with belief is a command to the quantum field. The universe doesn't understand your words. It doesn't hear your speeches. It responds to your vibration. And when you observe something with true faith, something invisible begins to shift silently in your favor. The quantum field, that invisible ocean where all possibilities exist, doesn't react to desperate desire. or anxious prayer. It responds to your inner certainty, to your quiet trust, to your vibrational surrender. When you observe with faith, you're not just dreaming, you're transmitting a signal, you're issuing a command, you're shaping the invisible field with the imprint of your conviction. There is no doubt in that frequency, no hesitation, only a deep state of presence and acceptance of what's already real. This is the level of observation that transforms, that manifests, that bends reality before your eyes. The quantum field is like a mirror, not of what you want, but of what you are, vibrationally. And when you observe with faith so real that your emotions match the state of already having received it, the mirror shifts. Reality begins to take shape according to that frequency. You don't have to force it. You don't have to manipulate anything. You don't have to control the process, because the command has already been sent and the field has begun to respond. That's the difference between wishing and creating. Wishing often comes from lack. Creating comes from alignment. When you observe with belief, you're not trying to get something. You're recognizing that you're already part of it. You're silently telling the universe, I know what I'm creating. I feel it. I embody it. Therefore, it is done. This kind of observation is powerful because it no longer searches for proof that something is happening. It is the proof. It carries a frequency so stable, so coherent, that everything around begins to rearrange itself to match that reality. People, circumstances, ideas, opportunities, everything begins to flow your way because you've sent a clear, unwavering command. Creation doesn't require physical effort, but sustained vibrational intention. When your gaze carries faith, it becomes a bridge between what is still energy and what is about to become form. It doesn't just envision a possibility, it activates it. It tells the quantum field, I'm ready, I'm living this. It is here now. That's why the true creator doesn't live in anxiety. They live in presence, because they know that what they observe with faith is already taking shape in the unseen. They no longer chase what they want. They simply align their vibration with what they're ready to live. And that vibration is the code the universe responds to. The field doesn't respond to your desire, it responds to your silent certainty. That sentence holds the core of conscious manifestation. It doesn't matter how badly you want something. If there's still doubt, fear, expectation, or a sense of lack within, the command won't be clear. But when belief is firm, the universe has no choice. It obeys. At that point, reality starts to feel magical. Synchronicities increase, doors open. Time seems to bend, but it's not magic. It's subtle physics. It's the effect of consciousness on the quantum field. And it all begins the moment you stop merely observing and begin observing with faith. How to know if your observation is aligned with belief? The mind can lie, but vibration never does. You can tell yourself you believe, repeat positive affirmations, and try to convince your consciousness that you're on the right path. But there is a silent place within you that reveals the truth. A place where no superficial statement can hide what is truly being broadcast to the universe. That place is your emotion. The key to knowing whether your observation is aligned with belief is to feel, not to rationalize, justify, or repeat, but to feel. What do you feel when you look at what you desire? Is there peace or anxiety, gratitude or frustration, a sense of certainty that it's already yours, or an anguished waiting for something that still feels far away? Many people believe they're in the process of manifesting, but in truth, they're just reinforcing absence. They observe the reality they want like someone staring at a shop window, something beautiful, desirable, but out of reach. They approach the image with eyes full of hope, but a heart filled with doubt. And that small difference between what is seen and what is felt is what keeps their reality from shifting. Emotion is the language of the field. It's how the universe reads your deepest intentions. It isn't listening to what you say, it's feeling what you emit. And if your vibration is tuned to lack, to waiting, to not yet, then that's exactly what it will continue to reflect. Not as punishment, but as a precise response to what you're energetically sending out. That's why self-awareness is essential. It's not enough to observe what you want with the mind. You need to sense what your body feels during that observation. If there's tightness in the chest, tension around your expectations, or a growing anxiety each day, it means your observation is coming from a place of separation, not alignment. It's like looking at what you desire while inwardly reaffirming that it's still not yours. But when you observe and feel peace, when you feel gratitude even before receiving, when you close your eyes and smile because you know you're being guided, held, supported by the invisible, then you are truly aligned. The reality may not have physically manifested yet, but in your vibrational field, it is already present. And that's exactly what accelerates manifestation. The truth is, the universe doesn't respond to what you think once in a while. It responds to the vibration you sustain consistently. And that vibration isn't born from trying to believe, but from how naturally you feel what you're creating. If you observe with lightness, with trust, with the feeling that everything is already flowing in your favor, then your belief is in the right place. If, on the other hand, observation brings distress, doubt, or comparison, there is misalignment between what you want and what you believe. The secret is simple yet profound. If your observation brings peace, it's connected to faith. If it brings anxiety, it's connected to doubt. And that often subtle difference is all the universe needs to know whether to respond or to wait. Observing with true belief is like planting a seed and knowing it will bloom, even without seeing the soil move. There's no rush, no pressure. There is presence, there is trust, and that silent vibration, born from the coherence between vision and belief, is what turns energy into reality. Technique: how to observe with the belief of already having. Observing with the belief of already having is not just imagining that something will happen. It's about accessing the inner state of someone who is already living it now. It's stepping into an invisible scene and behaving vibrationally as if it were already right in front of you. This isn't pretending, it's alignment, a silent shift in your point of attraction, from expectation to realization. To do this, you must step out of the mind that doubts, calculates, and compares, and into the heart that feels, receives, and knows. The technique you're about to learn doesn't require effort. It requires surrender. It doesn't ask for control, but presence. It's an act of returning to your natural creative power, where reality is shaped not by force, but by consciously sustained vibration. Start by closing your eyes for a moment. Let your body relax. Quiet the demands of time, the rush for results, the pressure of what-ifs. Now bring to mind what you want to manifest, but not as a distant mental image. Bring it as if it were already happening. Feel the environment, the colors, the sounds. More than anything, feel the emotional impact of living that reality in this exact moment. If it's abundance, feel the lightness and freedom. If it's love, feel the connection and warmth. If it's healing, feel the wholeness and gratitude. Allow yourself to sink into this vibration without rushing. Let your body absorb this new state. Breathe in it, not as someone imagining, but as someone remembering. As someone saying, yes, I know this feeling. It already lives in me. And at this point, you're no longer wishing. You're being. You're embodying the vibration of what you want to see in the world. The quantum field, which responds to states of being, not superficial desires, begins to register this new frequency. You've just sent a command. Now, with this vibration activated, slowly open your eyes. Look at your surroundings as if you carry a sacred secret. Hold that inner focus a little longer. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to tell the universe what to do. Just stay in that state, vibrating as someone who has already received. This silence is the most powerful language there is. When done with emotional sincerity, this practice starts to reprogram the subconscious mind. It tells your body that the desired reality is already familiar, already part of your field of possibilities. And when the body believes, the field responds. Because manifestation doesn't depend on how much you want something. It depends on how deeply you can feel that it's already yours. You can repeat this technique whenever you want to reinforce your creative vibration. It's not a rigid ritual. It's a bridge between your current state and your ideal one. And every time you walk that bridge with more truth, more trust, and more surrender, the journey becomes shorter, lighter, more natural. Remember, true faith doesn't wait to feel after it happens. It feels now. It vibrates before. And it's that vibrational anticipation that bends time, dissolves resistance, and attracts what once seemed far away. Observing with the belief of already having is choosing to live internally the reality the world doesn't yet see, but the universe sees, and when you vibrate as if it already is, it obeys. When the observer believes, the universe obeys. Creation doesn't begin in the world, it begins in the observer. Everything that exists around you today, every detail of your reality, is the reflection of a past vibration, of an internal state projected into the invisible field until it took form. In this field, which many call energy, universal consciousness, or divine mind, has no will of its own. It is responsive, it reflects, it follows the vibration you sustain with faith. To believe is not to wish. To believe is to hold a frequency as if it were the only possible truth. When you enter this state, something shifts in your field. Your mind aligns, your body calms, your energy stabilizes. And in that coherence, you become magnetic. You begin to emit a signal that the universe recognizes not as a request, but as a command. God said, if you believe, you will see. And the quantum field says the same, in different language. In spiritual language, you are the image and likeness of the Creator. In quantum language, you are a consciousness collapsing infinite possibilities into one specific reality. In both paths, the principle is the same. The observer who believes shapes the reality they live. When you believe as you observe, you are not merely contemplating what you desire. You are giving vibrational existence to what is still invisible. You are telling the universe, it already is. And this creates a vibration that doesn't demand proof. True faith doesn't depend on external evidence. It is an inner conviction that precedes all manifestation. And because of that, it accelerates the creation process. The universe does not resist pure faith. It bows before it. Because faith at this level isn't trying to convince anything. It simply vibrates. It simply holds. And the field, sensitive to this steady vibration, begins to respond with synchronicities, encounters, opportunities, alignments that may seem improbable to the logical mind, but are perfectly natural to the one who knows what they're doing within. That's the great shift, when you realize that the world doesn't move by force, but by frequency, that you don't have to chase what you want, you just have to become energetically compatible with it. And that compatibility happens when your gaze is guided by certainty, when you're no longer trying to convince yourself that something will happen, but living as someone who knows it already has, in a subtler dimension. To believe in this context is to live and advance the vibration of what you desire. It's stepping out of linear time and into the time of consciousness. Because for the universe, there is no past or future. There is only what is vibrating now. And if you vibrate now as someone who already has, who already is, who already lives, then there is no more resistance. The way is open for the invisible to become visible. From that point forward, reality ceases to be a repetition of the old and becomes an extension of your faith. You begin to see that you don't need to fight, persuade, or prove. You only need to hold, to observe with consciousness, to believe as you see. And in that moment, the universe obeys. Not as a servant, but as a faithful reflection of your creative essence. That is your true nature, to be the conscious observer who manifests with intention. The one who doesn't wait for the world to change in order to feel ready, but changes within until the world has no choice but to mirror that change. When the observer believes, the universe has no option. It responds, because creation begins with the one who observes and ends exactly where faith becomes invisible action. What blocks? Belief while observing. Observing with intention is the start of manifestation, But sustaining belief while observing is what makes it real. And at this point, as subtle as it is powerful, many stumble, because observing with faith requires more than desire. It requires presence, surrender, and emotional vigilance. And the blocks that appear along the way are not always obvious. They disguise themselves as logic, caution, or realism. But at their core, they are subtle expressions of fear. The first major block is silent doubt, that thought that arises quietly when you allow yourself to imagine something grand. Could this really happen for me? It's a whisper, almost unnoticeable, yet filled with energy that discredits. This doubt doesn't have to be loud. It just has to exist. Because where doubt is sustained, vibration fragments. The field feels this instability. And instead of collapsing the desired reality, it continues reflecting the hesitation. Another block is anxiety disguised as expectation. When you observe something waiting for it to happen quickly, hoping to see a sign, needing external confirmation, you are no longer observing with faith. You're observing with pressure, with surveillance, with fear that it won't happen. True faith is silent. It doesn't check the universe's clock. It rests. It observes and releases, knowing the command has already been received. Anxiety, on the other hand, watches, and what is watched with distrust tends to move away. There is also the fear of failure. It often appears dressed as self-protection. It's that thought saying, better not believe too much so you don't get disappointed. But that's a subtle trap of a mind conditioned by lack, because the fear of disappointment is, in itself, an act of faith, just in the wrong direction. It's faith in failure, a belief that the worst is more likely than the best, and the universe, without judgment, simply responds. Observing while expecting failure is also a powerful block. It's when you visualize what you want, but simultaneously prepare for what might go wrong. You create plan B, plan C, you hold a just-in-case energy, and that energetically is like trying to manifest light while lighting a candle in the dark for safety. It's incoherent. Creation doesn't happen from a divided state. It requires wholeness. These blocks, while they may seem normal in everyday life, must be recognized as vibrational interference, because they create noise, and the quantum field, which is extremely sensitive to vibration, doesn't respond to your strongest desire. It responds to your most stable frequency. If your faith fluctuates, so will your manifestation. If your faith is tainted by unresolved fears, reality will reflect that contamination. It takes courage to trade, "What if it doesn't work?" for "It is done." And that courage doesn't come from the logical mind. It comes from the heart reconnecting to its creative source. When you truly trust, even without knowing how or when, you lift the weights that block the flow. You stop doubting, stop expecting failure, stop protecting yourself from possible pain. Because you know the external reality can no longer contradict the vibrational truth you've chosen to hold. Observing with faith is, therefore, also an act of purification, of removing every layer of fear, every anxious expectation, every resistance that stands between you and what you desire to live. Manifestation is not something you force, it's something you allow. And to allow means to clear the internal path so the universe can finally respond in full. We've reached the end of our journey, and now you know. Reality doesn't bend to an empty gaze or an anxious desire. It responds to vibrational observation, the kind born from silent faith and felt certainty. To observe with doubt is to perpetuate what already exists. To observe with faith is to give shape to the invisible. You don't manifest what you merely want. You manifest what you observe as if it were already yours. The rest is just repetition of insecurity, and life was not meant to repeat old patterns. It was meant to express the creative power that lives in you. So here's a challenge. For the next 24 hours, observe everything you desire as if it were already real. Observe with gratitude, with presence, with the calm of someone who's already received. And notice how the universe begins to reorganize everything around you. Because if you believe while you observe, then it is already done.